Hi guys, welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. Excuse the sore throat. We've just all in my house just gotten over the cold, the flu actually. But anyway, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a whole wheat version of my banana nut bread. It's super delicious. It's actually pretty healthy because we make it with olive oil and some whole wheat flour, and bananas are really good for you, and it has walnuts, and let's go over the rest of the ingredients. I pretty much said half of them. So in my mixing bowl, and you don't need a stand mixer, but I'm just going to use mine just because it's less work to mash bananas up by hand. So I have mashed some really ripe bananas that were previously frozen. What I like to do with my bananas, whenever they get extra ripe and nobody in my house is going to ever eat them, I just put them in a Ziploc bag. I peel them, of course. I put them in a freezer bag, and then I store them in my freezer, and I use them for smoothies. I use them to make muffins and banana breads like this one. And it's perfect because like a day like today where I don't really have any ripe bananas, I always have some in my freezer. So I just took them out and I pretty much just defrosted them in here in my bowl, just that simple. And they're already pretty much like, you know, mushy. It's just gonna mix and come together perfectly. So we have those. We have some walnuts. Pecans are also really popular in this bowl, in this dish. You can use whichever nuts you like. I just love the way walnuts taste in here, so I'm gonna use walnuts. I'm using whole wheat flour. It's stone ground. You can definitely go ahead and use all-purpose white. That's fine. It'll make it really light. But because I like to eat this banana bread with my tea in the morning for breakfast, I like to keep it a little more on the healthy side. So I have some cinnamon, which I love the combination of cinnamon and banana. Some baking soda and a little bit of salt. I have some very light olive oil, some sugar, and a little bit of yogurt, 2 eggs, and vanilla extract. That's it. So in my mixing bowl right here, I'm going to put my bananas with my sugar, and I'm just going to give it a little mix so they can all kind of break up even more. And that's all it takes. It's all broken up. And then I'm going to put my olive oil in here. I'm just going to leave a tiny bit just so I could brush it into my baking dishes. Mix this up. And I'll also add my yogurt. And then we'll do one egg at a time. Just like that. That's going to come all together. And then we'll add the dry ingredients. So all of the ingredients came together. I'm just going to add a little splash of vanilla extract. It's about a half a teaspoon or so. Give it another mix. And then I'll whisk up all of my dry ingredients just so that way they can come together. Now I use cinnamon in here because I love cinnamon. If you want to, you can add a splash of clove powder. But I just like it just like this, the way it is. I want the banana flavor to really shine. I don't want to go a little too crazy. So I kept it like that. Alright, so now while my mixer is going, I'm just going to add a little bit of the dry ingredients at a time, about 1/3 at a time, until it combines. Always scrape down the sides of your bowl because the mixer never gets all the way down there. So now I'm just going to give this a nice mixing with my spatula just to make sure that everything is incorporated throughout. And what I'm going to do, I've already preheated my oven. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. That's important because you don't want the oven to, you don't want to be waiting for the oven once this is ready in the bowls or in the cooking loaf pans. So I'm going to put half in each of my loaf pans. I'm going to put it in my half sheet pan. It's easier to transport in and out of the oven. Now I'm sure you've noticed that I haven't mixed my nuts in here. I like to put them on top just because that gives it a nice crunch and it looks nice. Now this and a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning and you're good to go. Slice this with spread some yummy butter on this, and this is a really nice and filling breakfast. I'm going to pop this in my oven. Make sure you cook it for between 45 minutes to an hour. At the 45-minute point, you can go ahead and check them with a toothpick. And if the toothpick comes out with just crumbs attached and no batter, it's completely ready. Otherwise, go ahead and bake it for a little bit longer. So my oven's preheated to 350. Once I put these in, I'm going to decrease it to 325 degrees. And then I'll check it after 45 minutes and I'll let you know how long it took to bake. Alright, so my banana bread cooked for about an hour. I checked it at 45 minutes and it was still kind of uncooked, basically, like the toothpick came out and there was some batter stuck to it. So I let it cook for another 10 minutes and then another 5 minutes, so it took a whole hour for it to be completely ready. And I've let it cool for about 15 minutes. It should cool a little bit longer because it's still pretty hot. Okay, so let's see if we can take this out without doing too much damage to it. But that's okay. I'm going to sprinkle some powdered sugar on here. And I like it just like this. I know some people like to put glazes on this and maybe cream cheese icing, but that defeats the purpose of having something like healthy to eat with a cup of tea or a glass of milk. I like to eat it just like this. Let me show you the inside. It's nice and moist. It almost like looks sort of like a pumpkin bread, and you can definitely switch out the pumpkin for the banana if you felt like it. But I'm going to take a bite of this. Perfectly sweet, perfectly crunchy, moist on the inside. You guys have to try this out. You have to try this recipe. Go on DimitrasDishes.com, get this recipe, post your comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.